Hi guys, it's Dr. Mohammad Usman and I am back with another video. If you haven't liked my YouTube channel, do visit my YouTube channel and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay updated. You can also visit my Facebook page for updates. So let's talk about today's topic. So today we will be talking about the structure of big data. Previously we have talked about storing of big data and processing of big data using traditional data sources and big data databases, including Hadoop, HBase, and Hive. In today's video, we will be talking about what kind of structure we need for the big data. So when we are talking about big data structure, we want to know that how we can store the data and what is the format of the data. Basically, it can be in form of structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. In semi-structured data, we have the most traditional data sources, like we have Excel databases, like we have normal SQL databases. This kind of traditional data sources are used for storing the databases when we have a little amount of data. The semi-structured data is mix of structured data and unstructured data. It might have different links from different websites, it might have images, it might have text. So it is inclusion of basically both of text and unstructured data. The unstructured data is basically about video data, audio data, or image data. When we are talking about these three data types, we are going to classify it for the big data. In structured data, when we are talking about simple storing of data, we do it actually into the data warehousing, and we use them like for the forecasting and weather forecasting, for predictive maintenance of different organization or different software. So basically this is the data that is available to us and that is easily stored in form of column and rows. On the second hand, when we have semi-structured data, we have to find our data and we have to classify our data. Like we are doing data mining and we are finding keywords of data in Twitter or on Facebook or any other social network. And we want to find and research different analysis of different keywords and different research elements on different websites, or we are doing the social sentiment analysis. So this can include both textual format and link format, images or videos. So this kind of data is classified in semi-structured. The unstructured data is like the YouTube, and you have different Daily Motion, and you have other video sites which are providing you the video content. Basically in this video content, the video data cannot be actually stored in form of textual format or any other format. So we will be having a simple video uploaded on any network and we can just view or listen to it. So this kind of data is called unstructured data. When we are doing and working on all three kinds of data, we are working on different batches of data. Like if we have a structured batch of data, we will send it to some kind of software which is a big data software, and then we will view into the real time. This process we called it batch to velocity and real time. In this process we can perform working on our big data, like we make visualization of big data, we like to optimize our different sectors, we work on different credit and risk management in different banks. So basically we use the structured data to send it through a network to any other software which can analyze that data. Similarly, like when we are talking about semi-structured data, we also send it through in form of different batches and chunks, and we view into the real time. And similarly like for the unstructured data. So in case of unstructured data, the data velocity we require is huge than the textual data, because it will have a greater amount of size and greater MB size rather than the textual data. So why we will use the big data for the visualization, or actually why we need the big data? So basically when we are talking about big data, as we know that in 2015 it was 2200 exabytes of big data, but when we are talking about 2017 it is might be 1 zettabyte of data. So the data size has increased. When we are increasing the data size, so we have to store that data also, and we have to store that data and then we have to process that data, and for processing we have to increase the processing power. Similarly, we have to work on the availability of data, like different data types. Every day we are creating about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data, and this is the data which has been created in just last 2 years. So basically if we are talking about different data, it is generating too much on daily basis. And similarly in 2018 might be all the 1 year or 6 months data will be generating in just 6 months. So basically the growth of big data is increasing day by day, and we need to analyze some methods to visualize the big data. Another thing we want to analyze when we are working on the big data is like Facebook is generating 10 terabytes of daily big data. So how we can manage that data? Similar, like the devices which we are using are increasing day by day. Like in 2003, the connected devices were 500 million. The population was 6.3 billion. But when we are talking about 220, the connected devices will be 50 billion and the population will be 7.6 billion. This will be because a person will have 2 to 3 devices. Like a person has a laptop, a person has an iPad, a person has an Android phone, a person has a sensor installed at his home. So there are many things that are generating the data. Like we know that the sensors are generating the greater amount of data. So basically the data is increasing on daily basis. Twitter is also generating 7 terabyte of data daily. IBM is providing that the 90% of the data, like I have talked, that it is just created in just last 2 years. So basically the data size is increasing, and it is making our problem more difficult to visualize that data. On daily basis we have new chunks of data, then how you will analyze that data. So data visualization provides you the basics for categorizing this kind of data. So how big data is different from the other data? Like you have storage on your mobiles, you have storage on your Excel files, you might have data on different systems. So how it is different? Because this data is automatically generated by the machines. You actually don't need to write any query to store this data. You don't need to always push that data to be stored on a server. This data is just on the cloud, on virtual networks, and it is increasing day by day. And overall, all the applications, all the websites are generating this amount of data. It is just an entirely new source of data, because it is combination of semi-structured data, structured data, and unstructured data, and it is using the internet. Previously, if you are using this just the amount of data on your system, but when we are talking about big data, you are storing the big data on the internet. So basically it involves internet. It is not design friendly because when you will be working on Hadoop, HBase, it is command prompt. You have to basically work on different languages, and you have to work and give commands to download that data and join and split that data. And you don't have much values. Like you just need to focus on the important part. You will not be doing that. You will be downloading all the data, and you will not be working on all the values. You will be just working on the focus point. So this is the big data is different. And other than that, the big data is on different social networks. So if you are making also a e-commerce website, you are also increasing the big data. So what are the biggest big data sources other than the things which we have studied before? So the biggest source of big data is the human. Human is generating the data, because human is making the applications, human is making the system, human is making the sensors. So basic source of big data is the human. So it is the root cause of all the problems. So if there are no humans, there is no big data. So if there are no humans, there is no problem. So basically big data and all the things in the world are generated by the users. So it is largely growing files, and it is becoming big data files, and which will become fast data files when we will move into the future, because the size of files is increasing day by day. And for that we have to implement new system, and for those system we have to work properly on the processing power. So when we are talking about different big data sources, the biggest examples are the mobile devices, microphones, readers, scanners, science facilities, programs, software, social media, cameras. Other than that, if you are talking about different sectors, most of the data is generated by different companies. Like 15 out of 17 sectors in US are having more data stored per company than the US Library of the Congress. So basically you have having greater amount of data generated by other organizations, and it is increasing day by day. As the mobile devices will increase, the more data will be increased, and more users will start using the internet, the data will be increased more. So working on these kind of big data generation points examples, and what kind of analytics we can perform. So we can just perform different examination of large amount of data. We can analyze the data for appropriate information. We can identify different hidden patterns, and we can just correlate different data. And we can just find and study the data for the analytics to gain the competitive advantage. Like telecommunication company uses your data to analyze which package you have used and which package you will use into the next. So they analyze which package is best for the user and for generating different packages. So there is a constant fight which is called competitive advantage, and it also helps them to design different business strategies, and it is operational. So basically it is not just about just the computer science or software. They are using the big data analytics for their business, which is basically purely management, which is strategic management, which is customer satisfaction, which is increasing the revenue. So when you are thinking about the big data analytics and big data visualization, you are thinking about generating the revenue for the organization. So you need to be a software engineer plus a business person to work on the big data and to implement the big data properly, and to give organization different strategic demands. So basically this was about the big data analytics. So when we are talking about big data analytics, we need to know that what kind of tools we are using in the big data. So we have many different processing and data storage available. Like when we are talking about the processing power, it is hosted on cloud services like Amazon EC2. The data is stored on distributed storage services. Like we know there is a cluster of computing, so data is stored on different networks. And what is the programming model? Like I told you, there is a distributed processing model which is MapReduce in the Hadoop, and we work on this to join, split and work on our data. And how data is stored and indexed, it is based on the high performance schema free databases like the MongoDB. So basically it is working on the NoSQL. And what operations are performed on the data? It is for analytic, semantic processing, and we will be doing data visualization on this kind of data. So basically our aim is to use our tools and the big data tools to get the proper data visualization. So when we are talking about the tools of big data, we also need to know what kind of applications are of the big data analytics. So when we are talking about applications, we are talking about a smarter healthcare, because we have a automated kind of data which will analyze different healthcare units and give us the prediction and the forecasting of different diseases and problem. It is used in different security department. It will be used for the traffic control, manufacturing, sales, e-commerce website, telecom, trading analytics, and many kind of other things. So basically when we are talking about big data analytics and visualization, we have many different domains, and these domains help us to analyze that basically where we can land ourselves and where we can use the big data application. So this is just a non-exhaustive list. Basically there can be many different wide range of applications depending on nature of your work, and you can just work on of these. So this was about up to here. In next video we'll be talking about risk of big data, leading technological tools, the potential value of big data, and then we will talk about different big data things. So basically this was about big data analytics, and if you need to understand anything, you can just comment back and I can just get back to you on this topic. So this video was up to here. If you like my video, do visit my YouTube channel and like and subscribe to it. You can also earn training certificate from our video channel. The process is as follows, and it is easy for you. We have issued many certificates for many participants, and you can also get special certificates. So what you are waiting for? Go today to my YouTube channel and like and subscribe to it. Thank you.